Roe v. Wade was just the beginning. Next, Mitch McConnell comes out and says that a nationwide ban on abortion is possible. That's basically code for we're coming for a whole nationwide abortion ban. In fact, you have Louisiana who came out with a law recently that once, I don't think it's passed yet, but if it did, it would essentially allow people to charge women with murder, first-degree murder, even if they had an abortion by taking the morning after pill or using an IUD or anything like that. That's madness. That's barbaric. Okay, these people are just as draconian and authoritarian as they can get. And what else are they coming for? Again, contraception. They're coming for contraception next. You have some states who are already discussing the possibility of banning contraception. Oh my God. How long can this go on before people stand up and say, y'all have lost your minds. Enough of this crap. We're not taking it. The only saving grace in the coming midterms might be that women show up to vote enough for Democrats, but don't hold your breath. Especially with the way gerrymandering's been going on and all the voter suppression methods. But that's not where they're going to stop, man. Next, what else are they going to come for? They're going to come for the minimum wage. They're going to come for child labor laws. They're going to come for all forms of regulation. They're going to come for anything and everything that regulates the market. Because they want a totally free and open market. Why? Because that's how these capitalists, their donors, and themselves too in many cases, let's be real about that, can make as much money as they can. They can essentially find ways to force us to accept pennies on the dollar as a wage. That said, it's also important to point out a kind of side effect that banning abortion is going to have. You force women to be incubators and have all these unwanted children. What are you doing exactly? You're growing the labor market. And if you pump that many people into the system to have that many laborers, you make labor cheaper. And this is another way for them to combat unions, both in the short and in the long term. And of course, they're not going to say, well, now we're going to have universal child care and universal health care and all this stuff. They don't care about that. No. George Carlin said it best. He was like, if you're prenatal, you're fine. If you're preschooled, you're fucked. Truer words were never spoken, especially under Republican rule. So these guys are as dangerous as it gets. They're as draconian as it gets. There's no stopping them at this point, it seems, because the Democrats are just content to sit on their hands and do nothing. Why? They're controlled opposition guys. They're in the same damn club. They're wealthy. They're going to be fine. They don't care about these laws. They're going to get abortions if they want them. Even the Republican wives are going to get abortions if they want them. It's the poor people who have no capital, who have no power and influence, who are going to be most affected by this. And that's kind of the point. Because if you make them have more kids this way, you're essentially saying, you're basically growing the labor force and forcing labor to be cheaper. Living wage, goodbye. No such thing anymore. Forget about it. Especially once the Supreme Court strikes down the minimum wage law and they gut Medicare and Medicaid to the point where it's non-existent. It's not pretty, man. It's not pretty. And again, in a People's Parliament situation, like I said before, this would not stand at all. The CGA would not stand for this, especially since the majority of Americans, by and large, they want to keep Roe v. Wade. They want to keep abortion like it is. Because it's perfectly reasonable. It's a good compromise the way it is now. It just hasn't been codified into law. And if we start a People's Parliament, if we retake the Constitution out, take it away from the establishment, revisit it, rewrite it, and add certain things in there that need to be in there, such as health care, such as an education, such as a job and a union and a roof over your head, the basics, right? Remember I talked about the 10 basic commons to be voted on if we were to do something like this. That's another thing that this is good for. Now, what else are they going to come for? I mean, I already said it, quite a bit of things there. Child labor laws. What else? They might even come for women's right to vote. That might even be sooner than later because, again, in the midterms and even in 2024 maybe, it's going to be women that are going to be the most energized because they are going to overturn Roe v. Wade. But again, Democrats, even if they try to vote for them, they're not going to fight back. They won't do it. They don't care. They'll be fine. These laws are for the peasants. They're not for the elites. Any rational thinking person who knows the American system is well aware of this already. I mean, for crying out loud, how many Republican lawmakers have we seen so far where they had their mistresses get abortions? Yeah. One big ball of hypocrisy that party is, I'm telling you. And every argument they make is projection. Every single bit of it. Oh, the liberals are tyrannical. Oh, really? What do you call this? The liberals trying to indoctrinate our children. Really, what are you trying to do by burning certain books and trying to force people to learn the Bible in school? What do you call that? And by the way, these people have never read the Bible in their life. I mean, the Bible's pro-abortion. You know, look at Numbers. You think your wife cheated on you? Give her bitter water, and if she miscarries, that wasn't your kid. If she carries to term, it was your kid. Superstitious mumbo-jumbo, but that is in the Bible. You know what else is in the Bible? The book of Exodus. What happens in Exodus? The last plague to hit Egypt. God sends the angel of death through Egypt. What does he do? He kills babies. Kills the firstborn. Not necessarily abortions per se, but it is, as some of these conservatives love to say about liberals, killing babies when they're outside the womb, when they're viable. That's pretty horrific, right? That's barbaric. But they hear that in the Bible and they're like, oh yeah, well them Egyptians, they were evil and bad and they were enslaving the Hebrews, so that was a good thing, they did that. Unprincipled, a lot of them. And what else would they come for? Let's see here, what else? Oh, well, I mentioned the child labor laws, right? Obviously, they're going to come for that. They're going to say, well, if a child wants to work, they should be able to work, pull themselves by the bootstraps, builds character, and all that stuff. I really love this one because they say, well, this gives them meaning and purpose, the way these capitalists lay it out for them. That's the thing, though. The capitalists are laying it out for them. For them. These people aren't choosing for themselves. They can't choose for themselves because the people with all the capital are literally holding all the cards. Monopolies, monopoly power, that's where that comes into play. And that's why under the new Constitution, the new Bill of Rights, I would have something called the Three Wishes Law. And the Three Wishes Law means that as a business, you can't absorb more than 2 competitors. Your business and 2 other competitors make 3 businesses together. That's the 3 wishes. Once you've done that, you can't absorb any more. So, some conservatives and libertarians, and maybe even some liberals, will kind of bitch and moan and complain about this. Like, oh, it's tyranny from government. What kind of fucking tyranny is a monopoly in the business world? Where small businesses can't do anything because the monopolies are just gobbling everything up. Shouldn't people be allowed to do their own thing? There is kind of an example here about people doing their own thing in a system like that, though, that I think a lot of people take for granted. Bands. I always call, the music bands the original worker co-ops. At least that's how we may be at least vaguely familiar with them. You get a few people in a band. They kind of work together, cooperatively, democratically. Right? Some of your favorite bands operated that way. We've had worker co-ops in this country all along. We just hardly notice them and hardly notice what they're about because we don't focus on that aspect of these things. Sometimes we just focus on the finished product. Well, now you know, sometimes the co-op is the best way to go. So we need more worker co-ops in our economy. We need an economic Bill of Rights. We need to have a revamped regular Bill of Rights. I mean, we just need a whole new freaking constitution at this point. It's just a political football for these 2 major elitist parties, and they don't care about us. They never will. They're gonna throw us under the bus any chance they get if it means lining their pockets and gaining more power. It's a back and forth with these people. The Democrats, Republicans, they don't care. They don't care which one of them winds up in power. They just care about how many Benjamin Franklins they're going to get out of the whole thing. That's it. And another thing I would say is the Supreme Court. we seriously need term limits on the courts. Or at the very least, we need to circulate them, right? I know a lot in the Catholic Archdiocese, they end up circulating a lot of bishops. Maybe we should think about that with the courts. Once you become a judge, maybe you could be a judge your entire life, but you can't stay on the same bench your entire life. And here's another thing, too. This is a little bit off topic, but since I started off with abortion, I think it's a good idea to point this one out. I made a meme recently. Steve Carell had the look on his face like, I fucked up. And the headline says, you took away their right to have an abortion, now you have to pay child support. I don't know. I think it's only fair. If we're going to take away, or certain people, I don't want to, but if those who are pro-life are going to favor taking away a woman's right to have an abortion, I think those people should have their taxes raised. And those taxes should go directly into a universal child support program. Yeah. Y'all want to make women into incubators? You're going to pay for those children. How do you like that? I personally think it's a great idea. It definitely sounds like a tit for tat, little retaliatory. But hey, the way they're treating women with overturning Roe v. Wade here and what's going to happen in the states coming, I think it's only fair. If you're pro-life, you get your taxes raised. You don't want to know, you won't know that? You don't want to let people know that you're pro-life? You think that's none of their business? Okay, then let women have a right to an abortion, then shut the fuck up. You don't want to have an abortion? Don't get an abortion. You don't want your wife to have an abortion? Don't let her get an abortion, but don't bring it into other people's houses. Don't make everybody else conform to an ideology that they don't agree with. That's what real freedom is. You feel free if you don't get an abortion. Okay, great. Other people are free when they know they can get an abortion, and they do when they need to. Now, abortion is not something most women want. It's not something they want. It's something that they feel they have to do given their circumstances, and it's not a nice thing. It's really not, but if it has to be done, it has to be done. Now, someone would say, well, Marcus, if your mother got an abortion, you wouldn't be here today. How do you know that? How do you know that? I could have shown up in a different body. Maybe I could have been conceived at a later date. We don't know. And it's really just a what if, spinning what ifs all day. I'm here, period. Everybody alive today, we're here, period. So it's really a non-argument. Because we don't actually know what happens, in between there. Now, I personally am kind of on the side of, you're just part of a continuous life cycle. So this body, my essence, my consciousness, is going to pop up in another body sometime. Maybe in an animal. Who knows? I think I'm sounding more Buddhist at this point, but whatever. But yeah, Roe v. Wade, what the Supreme Court's doing here is a great miscarriage of justice, no pun intended, as it says in the headline there. And they will be coming for other things. They will be coming for labor laws of all kinds. They'll be coming for the minimum wage. They'll be coming for Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security. Of course, women's right to vote, because the women are going to punish the Republicans in the next couple of cycles, most likely. It may not have a great, huge amount of effect unless they purge all the women, which I'm sure they will do in the red states. It's not pretty, man. It's not pretty. I don't like where we're going right now. All I can say about this, guys, is we need to seriously think about this People's Parliament. And remember what I said, it's a representation by county. All right? So if you think you might want to run for the People's Parliament, it's a good idea for you to get your campaign together, traverse your county, let them know you're running for the People's Parliament in your county, and that's how we can get the ball rolling on this. And if you want to learn more, just ask me any questions you want on Twitter. You can follow me at Power of the Mark. You can follow me at Marcus Perriello on Facebook. You can find me on this channel, of course, on YouTube, on Chamber of Progress. You can follow me on Instagram if you like. I'm even on minds.com. So, and hit the subscribe button, please. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to notify when something drops so you can see all my content. I hope you like what you saw today, and I hope you will give this some serious thought, because rough times lie ahead and we have to have a battle plan.